Hey all, I don't make a lot of videos because videos make me feel awkward, but I really wanted to talk about this parental rights bill that just came out of Florida, and just the absolute insanity that has been circulating about this bill. It is a parental rights bill. It means that you cannot, first of all, it says that you cannot introduce sexually explicit curriculum to children between the grades of kindergarten through third grade. We're talking about 5 to 8-year-olds. It says that you cannot change the medical records or the school records of these children in any way without parental consent. You can't change their name. You can't change their gender. You cannot impose mental health or physical health treatments without parental knowledge. And the reason that we have these bills in place is because this is becoming an issue. And it has nothing to do with hate for a particular group of people or wanting to deny the existence of transgender people or gay couples. It has nothing to do with that. And as a parent who just wants to be involved in what's going on in my child's life at school, which is my right, it is extremely frustrating and not helpful when I don't want these things to be happening without my knowledge, and it's taken to a place where the reason that you feel that way is because you hate gay people. And that is absolutely crazy. I do not hate gay people. I am in favor of parental rights, and not just my rights, all parents' rights. Gay parents' rights, transgender parents' rights, straight parents' rights, single parent rights. I am in favor of all parental rights, that the school cannot teach your child something on a social issue or on a moral issue without your knowledge. And just the fact that I can't say that I want rights over my child without somebody saying it's because you hate certain people is just a really big problem. And the fact that we have teachers coming out and saying that if they can't talk to their class of 5-year-olds about their love life with their gay partner, that's a problem for them, that is a big problem for me. I have no problem with teachers coming in and saying, hey, I went sailing this weekend with my family, or I went to the zoo, or had, whatever different experience. But if you can't share those things without specifically mentioning your sexuality or your intimate relationship with your partner, that is a big problem. Kids don't need to know about those things. I have a 10-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a 6-year-old. So I have a kindergarten, third grade, and fifth grade. And, I can't even imagine. I don't want to have to worry about sending my kid to school and that their teacher, who has a different ideology than I do about gender and about sexuality, decides that it's their job to influence my child and then not tell me about it. I don't want to have to worry about that happening, or, them influencing my child to change their name or to be called, something by the opposite gender than how they were born. My children, they're my children. I need to know what's going on in their lives. And it's not because of hate for another group of people or that I'm going to react to their questions and their concerns with animosity and exclusion. It's because I will be their support system through their entire lives because I am their mother. And this has just become such a big issue where we have teachers that are so concerned with their ideology, with sexuality, with sexual identity, that anytime a kid comes to school with any kind of issue, suddenly the answer is to affirm them as the opposite gender than how they were born. If a kid comes to school with anxiety, let's affirm them the opposite gender. If they come to school with depression, let's affirm them the opposite gender. If they come to school with a food allergy, let's affirm them the opposite gender. And these kids are not old enough to understand these concepts. They're just not. Kids believe anything that you tell them, and they're easily influenced with anything that you tell them. My 10-year-old came home the other day and said his friend told him that birthmarks were from, like, if you had died, or if you had lived and then died and then you lived again. So it was from like a previous life. Like, a friend of him told him that. And I said, well, no, that's not exactly true. I said, Birthmarks are generally, they come from hereditary, they could come from genetics, they could, pretty much come from any number of things. And he was just absolutely blown away that I said to him, no, that's not true, because he believed it. He absolutely believed it. And it's not because my child is stupid, it's because they easily believe things. So, just the fact that he was willing to believe something like that, if a teacher comes to him and starts making him question who he is, and then saying, don't tell your mom about it, that puts him in a really tough position. And, it's just, they don't understand the long-term effects of making these kind of statements when they're 5, 9, 10 years old. They don't understand how that's going to affect their relationships for the rest of their lives. They don't understand long-term repercussions. They don't understand sexuality. And I'm not keeping these discussions from them. Again, about a month ago, I got an email from my 10-year-old school saying, hey, they're going to have this video, this sexual health video, talking about just different concepts, things to, be prepared for in puberty and things like that. And they sent me a link to the video, said, this is what we're going to watch. So I watched the video. It was about 15 minutes long. I thought it was very age appropriate. It had kids in the video talking about the different things to expect during puberty and the changes to your body and changes to your mind and to your thoughts and things like that. And I thought it was just a very informative video. I thought it was very appropriate for my 10, almost 11-year-old to participate in. And I, gave permission for him to view it with his friends in the classroom and the teacher. And, I want him to feel comfortable with these topics and with these conversations, and to not feel like he, if he talks to something, with his friends about it, that he can't come home and talk to us about it. So I had my husband, just approach him at the end of the day and say, hey, I know you watched this video. Like, do you have any questions about what you watched? Do you have any questions about, the things that you learned? And, I don't know what the conversation was, but we opened those doors to have those discussions with him. But I don't feel that my 9-year-old who's in 3rd grade, or even my daughter who is in kindergarten, I don't feel that they're old enough to have those conversations, and I don't feel like they need to. That's not a concern of theirs right now. And when it is, we will guide those conversations. And they are well aware that gay people and transgender people exist. They know what the LGBTQIA community is, and it's not because I'm sitting here grilling into their heads that they need to hate these people. I don't even let my kids use the word hate, because when they say the word hate, I hate going to school, or I hate watching when a commercial comes on my YouTube video, I say to them, I'm like, that's a really strong word. Like, if we could just express our frustrations, but we don't need to use such an extreme word for these silly little things. I teach them to be loving, to be kind, and to find somebody, if they see a friend at school or a kid at school that's having a rough day, or they seem to be excluded, or if there's a kid being bullied or picked on, I want them to be the first one to stand up for them, the first one to go up to them and to say hi, and to, just be a friend to them, and to make sure to see those kids that might be having a rough day or feeling lonely or anything like that. Like, that's what I teach my kids. And I don't say, you can only do this with kids who read the Bible, or only do this for kids that have parents that are in traditional marriages. So this idea that, this parental rights bill is to keep kids from even knowing that different sexualities exist, or that if the teacher in the school doesn't introduce these conversations to the 5-year-olds and the 8-year-olds, that they're never going to learn about it. And that if they do, they're just going to go home, so their parents will teach them to hate all of these people. It's incredibly divisive. It's not helpful, and it's not true. So I hope that you will hear what I'm saying and recognize that, what is being said about this bill it's not true. It is meant to turn us into, to divide us in ways that we don't need to be divided, to come together and say that, all parents deserve to have rights over their child, whether it's gay parents or straight parents or single parents, that we all need to know what's going on with our children in the school, so that we can be there as a support system for anything that they're facing. And that a teacher in their school that has a class of 30 kids, that has them for a total of maybe 8 months of the year, is not going to know enough about them and what they need and what's best for them on a physical, mental, on any of these levels than their parent is. And that's not to exclude any kind of kids. It's not to exclude anybody. It's to make sure that our kids have access to the right support systems from the people who love them the most. And that's for all parents and all kids. So that's just what I wanted to say about this bill, and I hope that you will take my words in the way that I mean them and not come at me and say, you're lying, you really just want to teach your kids to hate gay people, because it's not true. It's just not true. I teach my kids to love. I want them to be loving, caring, kind human beings. I want them to grow up and to be the kind of person that can be a friend to anybody, and that can be supportive and just be that person that people know that they can come to. So that is what I had to say. I would love your thoughts and your contributions to these ideas, and I hope that we can change the narrative on this.